In many ways, the internet has become a new cultural breeding ground for creativity, and nowhere is this more prevalent than within music. In almost every conceivable way, the internet has allowed people to subvert the standards of the music industry. Whether it's music sharing pages like the ones here on YouTube, or more people becoming exposed to music production as an art form. One of the big things that has arisen from this boom of new music producers are artists like Muramasa and Mr. Carmack, people who just make music from their bedroom. And no artist has done this quite as masterfully as Joji, with over 600 million views on YouTube and hundreds of thousands of Spotify subscribers. Joji is by far one of the most popular new wave internet artists. But that's not solely for the fact of his music.
If you spend enough time on the internet, you've probably come into contact with Filthy Frank. He's the guy that started the Harlem Shake craze.
Joji is the musical alias for George Miller, the YouTube creator behind characters like Filthy Frank and Pink Guy. George has spent a long time creating content on YouTube, and just last year he put out a solo album under the name Pink Guy. Now, that's not to say that the musical alias Pink Guy is similar to the musical alias of Joji. Much of Pink Guy's music is raunchy, over the top, and frankly ridiculous, whereas Joji music is melancholic and includes dark romantic themes like cheating and gritty interpretations of sex. Today we're going to examine some of the theory behind Joji music, and analyze not only the style, but the reasons for this style and how it reinforces some of George's motifs. First, let's establish what a musical style is. The style of a song is a feeling created by all of the different technical things going on, like instrumentation, arrangement, mixing. Because style represents a feeling, it's usually pretty easy to characterize. David Lynch's music sounds kind of like a mad scientist playing guitar in an abandoned warehouse. Daft Punk sounds like someone shot a disco into outer space. Joji's style, as I said earlier, is very melancholic and gritty, so let's address each of these points individually. First, how does Joji create the melancholic feelings within his songs? Well, Joji has two instruments that he will tend toward, either a piano or a ukulele. I'll get to why he uses these in a little bit, but it's very important to note that both of these instruments have a very specific sonic quality. They're both very warm, in the sense that they're familiar sounding, and we're all very comfortable with them. Much of Joji's instrumentation and arrangement is fairly simple, and that's not a bad thing. It's what most beginner artists have to deal with. In fact, if we go back to some of Joji's roots, we can see that his style has mostly stayed in line with some of the songs that he first sampled. The song You Suck Charlie uses a sample from Vince Guaraldi's Christmas Time Is Here, which became an instant classic when it played over much of Charlie Brown's Christmas special. Guaraldi's song is pretty simplistic, just a piano and some percussion, and Joji's music has followed this simplistic nature as well. He tends to only use one or two real instruments within a song, and will often have one acting as a lead and the other acting as the pad. In addition to all of this, the arrangement in Joji's music takes notes from Guaraldi's song. If we look at the transcription of one of Joji's songs, we can see a pattern wherein the lead portion of the piano will walk up or walk down in correspondence with the change in the pad's chord. Now, this is not to say that the pad only serves to complement the lead. Joji likes to use his pads to create a melancholic variance by switching the chords between majors and minors. Using the same song, we can see that the chord progression is major, natural, minor, natural, and then it repeats. To sum it up, the simplicity and warmth from Joji's instrumentation and arrangement, along with the minor and major chord variation, is how he creates this melancholic atmosphere. Now onto the gritty side of Joji's musical style. The grittiness in Joji's music stems mainly from his percussion and how it contrasts with the melodic side of his style. If we listen to the beginning of one of his songs, Lost Instruments, you can hear that much of his percussion consists of heavily distorted, lo-fi sounding samples. A good portion of these samples consist of clanging pots and pans. The sound is really mechanically textured, and when put in contrast with the warm and natural sound of the pad and lead elements, it creates a contrast between natural and mechanical. But just as before, the grittiness in Joji's percussion is not only a matter of instrumentation, but arrangement as well. When George first began making music under the Pink Guy alias, it was obvious that there were really heavy trap influences on a lot of his songs. Undoubtedly, much of those influences have carried over into his Joji music. The grittiness that exists already is further contrasted by the intense and fast-paced trap percussion style compared to the more steady harmonics of the piano. The grittiness in Joji's music comes not only from the sound of his beats, but difference in pacing between his beats and his melody. So now that we have an understanding of the how behind George's style, let's move on to the why. George has admitted in a few different interviews that the majority of his Joji music has strong motifs of sex that are usually paired with something else.
Today, someone called me out on it. They were like, everything you do revolves around sex. It's very important, even in my music. Nostalgic sexual vibe to it, which I intended to have, but I'm still finding it out. I'm still one EP in.
As far as the sadness part, the melancholic piano pretty much accomplishes that, and nostalgia can certainly be something covered by Joji's tendency to sample older music. The most confusing part about all of this is how George's style relates to sex. I mean, outside of his lyrics, there's nothing innately sexual about George's style, and I think he knows this. He's admitted quite frequently that,
but I'm still finding it out. I'm still one EP in.
To be honest, I don't know that I really have an answer as to why Joji's style is the way it is, but I don't know that George does either. However, I think the true moral of this story, the real win here, is that George has been able to explore these topics in the first place. I can confidently say that the new age of music production is much more open to those who are willing to put the effort into their music, and that exploratory freedom is just one of the reasons why I will always support George's music. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you liked this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video with your friends. We recently just passed 150 subs, and I can't tell you how amazing it feels. I'm just really glad that people out there enjoy my content, and I definitely have a lot more ideas that I'm gonna be sending down the pipeline really soon. So thank you very much for 150 subscribers. As always, I've been Lucid, and thank you for watching.